Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest homework video. In this video we're looking at fractions, decimals and percentages, but really we're looking at how we can make mathematical connections, how we can link one thing that we know to another one, and this is the aiming higher version of the video. If you have a look at the fraction and percentage wall, you can see that each section within a line is the same size. So for example, those thirds are all the same size. However, they're often written in a different way. So say for example, if we have a look at the eighths column, we've got 12.5% and an eighth, and they're the same. Now for some fractions you can see quite directly the link. So for example, with 10% and a tenth, it's quite straightforward to see the link between the fraction and the decimal. But often that's quite rare. So if we're having a look at that example of an eighth and 12.5%, we've got to see how can we make a link between those two facts. And that's what this video is all about. Now, if we have a look at the decimal number line, we know that deca means 10. Decade, 10 years, decagon, 10 sides. Here, we've got this gap between 0 and 1 split into 10 sections, into decimals. And that's what the decimal system means, really. Fractions, of course, are different. It's about splitting a whole into a number of pieces. So, say, for example, if I split that whole into two pieces, each piece into two pieces, each piece is a piece of 0.5. Of course, if a half, I get a quarter, 0.25. But look how there's not an obvious relationship between the 0.25, or the 25% I could call it, and the number 4. Now that, of course, is because with fractions we're splitting based on the denominator, whereas in our decimal system we're splitting into 10, in our percentage system we're splitting into 100. Now, the link, of course, 25 and 4, well, 4 25s is 100. 0.5 and 2, well, 2 0.5s is 1, or 2 50% are 100. Now, of course, the beauty about maths is if you know one thing, you can often figure out other things just by making connections. Maths is often about just being able to make those connections. I know that a fifth is 0.2, because I know that 5 0.2s would make 1, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, 1. I can use the fact that I know 1/5 is 0.2 to work out loads of other number facts as well. Pause the video and just mentally see if you can think of a few off the top of your head. You don't need to write these ones down in your book. And pause the video now. Let's have a look at some of the connections that I can make. So if I know that 1/5 is 0.2, then I know that 3/5 is 0.6, because it's 3 lots of 0.2. Similarly, I know that because 1/5 is 0.2, then 1/5 is 20%, because 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 100 split in 5 pieces. So if 1/5 is 20%, then 2/5 must be 40%, 2 lots of a fifth. And 3/5 is 20 add 20 add 20, 60%. Let's have a look at some slightly more abstract versions. So if the fifth is 0.2, 1 over 50 must be 0.02, because I multiplied the denominator by 10, so that makes the decimal answer 10 times smaller. And so if 1/5 is 0.02, then it's an easy jump to figure 2/50ths. Sorry, 1/50th is 0.02, then 2/50ths must be 0.04. Similarly, if 1/5 is 0.2, if I times the numerator by 10, then I'd have to multiply my 0.2 by 10 as well, so 10/5 must be 2. And also, if I know that a fifth is 0.2, well, if I halve a fifth, I have a tenth, and so I'd have to halve my 0.2, 0.1. It's all just me making connections. Have a go at this example and see how many connections you can make to this fact. An eighth is 0.125. Write 5 down in your homework book. I'll model some examples, but hopefully yours will be different than the ones here. Pause the video and have a go. So maybe you found 2 eighths by doubling 0.125 to get 0.25, which of course is the same as a quarter, because 2 is a quarter of 8. Maybe you worked out that an 80th must be 0.0125. Perhaps you worked out 7 eighths by taking 0.125 from a whole, which would be 8 eighths, to give 0.875. It could be that you used a mixed number fact. So for example, 2 and an eighth must be 2.125, 2 wholes and an eighth. Now, for your next question, I'm going to give you a visual aid. Your question is, what is 2/7 as a percentage to the nearest whole number? Well, what I know about percent is it means out of 100. And to work out 2/7, well, I'll have to work out what a seventh is, and then double. So I'm looking at splitting the 100 into 7 equal pieces. Pause the video and have a go at working out as accurately as you can what 2/7 is as a percentage. So, of course, I've got to figure how many 7s go into 100. Well, there's 1 7 in 10, and then 3 left over. So then, that's not a very good 3. And then I've got to figure out how many 7s in 30. Well, I know that 4 7s are 28, and then that will leave me a remainder of 2. So I could, of course, give that as 14 and 2/7. That, of course, is only 1/7, so to find 2/7, I'll need to double that amount. And so to answer my question, to the nearest whole number, it would be 29%, because, of course, 4/7 makes the number nearer to 29 than 28. Now, for this question, see if you can use your related fact knowledge to find out what 3/50 is as a decimal. Now, I'll be interested to see the workings in your book, to see how you've gone about it. I would see this as knowing that 3/5 equals 0.6, and so therefore I know that 3/50 equals 0.06. I guess you might have seen that 3/50 and think of it as a percentage and think, well, 3/50 is the same as 6/100, and then knowing that that would make obviously 6% or 0.06. And then finally, see if you can work out what 2.375 is as a mixed fraction. Now, my clue is to have a think about where you've come across numbers that fractions that might produce that decimal somewhere earlier in the video. Okay, pause the video, this is your final one, and have a go. Okay, and hopefully with a bit of thought you came back to 2 facts that we know. One is that a quarter is 0.25, and of course a fact that's related to that is an eighth, which must be half of a quarter, which is 0.125. So if I add those two together, that will give me 3/8, because of course a quarter is 2/8, and 1/8 makes 3/8. So 3/8 will be this magic 0.375. So of course a mixed fraction that will make 2.375, well, 2 would be the whole, and then we would have the 3/8, or of course any fraction that's equivalent to 3/8. Well done. We will look forward to seeing you back in class to put some of this work into further action.